Oh, hello, Muscatine. How you doing? Good morning. That was really bad. I don't know what sort of accent that wasn't, but holy cow. It is Tuesday. It's gorgeous outside. Uh, there's not much better than May, late May in Iowa. This I'll take. If we could just do this all year, life would be fine. Um, we have, and I'm just going to jump right into it because there is so much here, so much here. A hat that's as old as our office downtown is where we're going to start off. But I actually have Todd Stammer here with me from Pearl City Buckskinner.
Pearl City Buckskiners.
And they have their rendezvous coming up this weekend.
Yes, sir.
And out at Discovery Park. And yeah, I'm having fun already.
Good deal.
So if you could, for those at home, introduce yourself and give us a little bit about Pearl City Buckskinners.
All right. Well, I'm Todd Stammer. They call me Brother Todd on the rendezvous circuit.
How'd you get Brother Todd?
I'm not some friends of mine, I act like a big brother all the time, taking care of things.
Okay.
So we're all a pretty big family when we do this, so I'm Brother Todd.
That
And it
works.
just stuck, and I've been doing this for about 25 years or so. Learned from some old boys, and now I'm the old boys. So we need new people to come out and see us and see what we're all about. We're about the fur trade of the 1800s.
Okay.
Back in the day, we go back in time.
And I think, Chris, sorry to interrupt.
No, go
Chris,
ahead.
could you pull up some of the pictures that we brought on so that people can kind of see what this as you talk about it?
So we go back in time to the time period of the fur trade, which is around 1780 to 1840. It was a very short time in history, but it was a very cool time in history. It all started out basically with the hat that you're wearing.
That's right.
The big deal, don't have the craziness like they did back then, and I'll leave it as that.
I think we can all imagine.
Yeah, and what you can imagine we did. I mean, but today we go back in time, we display our wares, different things, beadwork, leather work, old guns, traps, old coffee pots. Everything is as period correct as we can get,
So
or we try to.
before we dive into all this stuff, because I want to hear the stories behind all this, like how many folks, so first of all, the rendezvous is at Discovery Park.
It's at Discovery Park this weekend,
Yep.
19th through the 21st. Thursday we'll be out there, but we'll be setting up.
Yep.
So if people want to see how you set up a teepee, come on out. If you want to see how they set up a wall tent, come on out. We'll have all kinds of different types of, we call them lodges or teepees that they used back in the day. And no modern stuff is out. No plastic will be out, hopefully. Everything's canvas, cast iron, wood.
So how many folks will you have like participating in the rendezvous?
Hopefully we'll have maybe 30 camps,
Okay.
different campsites. I hope to. This is our small rendezvous. We do a bigger one in the fall, which is out at Wildcat Den, but this is a small one. Me and my friends started a few years ago. We did it as a Boy Scout venturing crew, but it was super hard to keep the kids involved, but we liked our rendezvous so much, we just kept the spring rendezvous going, because that's what we're all about,
Right.
It's our rendezvous. And this year, we got into Discovery Park, so hopefully everybody in town can come see us.
Yeah, that's, not the Wildcat Den is that far, but, Discovery Park
It's right in town.
it doesn't get any more convenient than that.
Exactly,
right?
and I work closely with the Conservation Board, doing programs for them a lot. If somebody calls and say, hey, we need somebody to come out and do a demonstration, I can go out and do a demonstration.
Well, yeah, and I think, you said Friday there's going to be a bunch of students coming out.
Yes, there's a couple of, I'm not sure exactly where the students are from, but there's a
Right.
couple of field trips coming out. And we'll put together stuff and do some demonstrations for them. And, here's, I don't know if you tell, that's my Bic lighter right there. I don't know if anybody can see it.
Well, let's
This
see
is
what
my
you-
Bic lighter right here. So what it is my fire starting kit.
Oh, makes sense. So there's
I got
obviously a wick.
a piece of steel and a flint and some stuff to burn, and
away we go.
away we go. We can make a fire right there with that. We don't need a lighter. That's the old way to do it. And everybody probably seen it on TV, you know.
Yeah. Well, and again, you know, that's the kind of thing that it's a skill, obviously, but it's also a skill that's not that hard to learn, right?
Well, it depends who you talk to. I make it look awful easy.
Let me with work and
with work
like,
practice.
Like
yes.
that's what I mean. Like it's not something that like you can't learn.
No,
I
can teach anybody how to make a fire with a flint and steel.
Yeah, I mean it's fire common sense. You know,
Yep.
get some stuff to burn, throw some sparks at it, a little oxygen, and
next thing you know, you got a fire going.
Yeah. So what else do we have here?
Well, we got all kinds of stuff. We got different beadwork. This is a knife sheath with a knife in it. That's just different.
So that's
different avenues of stuff that we do.
So is this like, so obviously this is period stuff.
Yes.
So
yes.
this is something obviously that you didn't make.
A friend of mine that has no longer with us anymore had made that. He's everybody knows his beadwork.
Gotcha.
So that's some of his beadwork.
How is?
Those are tiny, they're called seed beads.
Oh yeah, okay, and so there's basically, folks, it's not like it's glued. Yeah, there's like thousands here, and they're strung.
Yep, it's
right?
all hand stitched on.
Yep, so they're all hand stitched on individually, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, like, in a good way.
Hours
like,
of work.
I don't even want to know how. I would never finish it. I can guarantee you that I would never finish it. So, that's awesome.
And then we got traps.
Well, was this one done by the same?
And that's a different type of, if you pull that one out, that one's made out of flint.
Oh.
Where it's like a big arrowhead, which was what they used back in the day.
Cool. Oop. I am gonna hurt myself. Somebody call Chris Jasper and make sure that dispatch is on, or Rachel, somebody make sure that they're on call, because I'm gonna need it.
Well, a little scratch won't hurt nothing. There's different types of pouches, different ways of doing things. But the thing of it is, well, we got our ceremonial peace pipe too, so if we need to make friends, we can smoke a little tobacco in there and pass it around and bless everybody with it.
So that's one of those, you just kind of like pack the tobacco down in there,
Yep.
light it up, and away you go.
And off you go.
We won't do that, because
no smoking inside.
Yeah, no smoking inside.
And then, you don't really want to throw anything away if you say you harvest an animal. You want to use every bit of it that you can, whether it's for the fur, the leather, the shells, the meat.
Oh, what do we have? What is that?
What's that? This
is a turtle shell.
This is a snapping turtle shell that I've turned into a pouch, which has got buckskin, which is white-tailed deer, and it's all been tanned out. Made a pouch out of it, and you can use.
So you can see then obviously that's going to strap over, and then
everything.
You can actually see like the legit inside of the turtle shell.
And we call that a possibles bag. And you know why it's called a possibles bag?
Because anything possible could go in it.
Anything possible can go in it. Yep. You're right.
I could have done this.
You're right on top of things, because I use very technical terms for the 1800s.
That, you got to keep it simple for me.
But the beaver was the big guy at the time.
Right.
They used the fur from the underside, made a solution with it, and put it in presses and popped out hats. That's what it was all about.
So what do we have?
Those are some traps. These are actual beaver traps. And for the mountain man, this is about all he would have in his collection. 4 or 5 traps.
Okay.
Because they're extremely heavy.
Right.
So chances are you didn't have your big Ford truck or your big Chevy truck, and if you was lucky, you would have a horse and a mule. They're all tied together.
Yeah, no, so what I was trying to see okay, so essentially, if you've never seen one of these things like blow my mind how simple but effective they are. So on one end, you've got a big steel.
Yep, big ring.
Big ring. And you're going to use that to attach it to the ground.
You'd anchor that down somehow. Tie it to a tree or a stake or something.
And then how does this thing work?
Well, these...
Let's show some folks how to
the way these are...
Because this is nuts.
It's kind of be hard to do up here on top, But these two springs go down,
Yep.
and then the
Yep. So
trap opens, and then you set it with that little thing right
so
there.
basically, like this goes down.
Yep, you
like
squeeze them
this,
down.
and then these open up.
Yep.
And then this little foot pedal. Let's call it a pedal. We won't call it a trap spring.
Right.
And then you hold it with, I don't know if you can see this. This little guy will hold
you just
it there.
hold it up,
Yep. And so
and
then
that
when
holds everything open.
and that releases the tension and snaps down. And I'll tell you this, I mean, like, okay, so I'm not like super strong, but you know, I'm like, I can only imagine that stomping down on a foot.
It holds them pretty tight.
I'm not going. And the thing that surprised me when I first saw one of these that people might not realize is I always imagined there were like teeth on these.
Some of them do. The older ones do.
But like they're just like flat. Like I always just pictured like saws or you know, like a mouth.
And it depends on the, like a bear trap,
Yeah.
you'd want them in there.
Right.
Because a bear's foot just comes kind of straight down. Where like a beaver's leg, it's smaller here, and then they got their big foot. So all you got to do is keep it tight on top.
Imagine that. There's a reason for how they designed it that way.
Yeah, that trial and error probably, most of it.
So, and these things, I mean, they're not, I mean, what are these? A couple pounds probably?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not like, you know, again, everything I know I learned from a cartoon, right? So, you know, you always think of these things like being big and super heavy and like big old teeth and like they're going to jump out at you. But
they're a very simple design.
yeah, very simple. And yeah, if you had to carry a lot of these, yeah, it would be a mess. But each one individually isn't
they're not terrible, no. But you want to keep track of your stuff, because if you was out in the actual mountains in the 1800s, if somebody coming along a trap, they're going to steal it. Just because that's, you know, well, I don't see nobody here, so it's my trap now.
It's a trap. You put it somewhere and then you leave.
Yeah. So it was a lot of competition back in the day, where it was a very rough environment. Whether it was Mother Nature, whether it was natives, whether it was other mountain man, whether it was animals, disease, weather. So mountain man, I mean, a fur trade company they'd put ads out for hiring mountain men. And some of them were as young as 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
And they'd send a group of 100 out to go catch furs. Maybe 10 would make it back, because it was such a hard environment at the time.
You know, that just blows my mind. You know, because this is like that whole Hudson Bay company.
It is exactly
era,
the Hudson Bay.
And like it's that whole era that we all learned about in history. But you know, we spent a week on it. You know, in 6th grade or something. And
Lewis and Clark, they hired the mountain men to go, because the mountain man was already in the mountains.
Right.
So they knew how to get around. So when Lewis and Clark come through, they hired mountain men to go with them. And there was different jobs in the mountain man. Some might be good at trapping, some might be good at hunting, some might be good at gathering food. You know, so everybody had their own niche.
So speaking of hunting, the big boy that's just been kind of, I'm sure you guys have seen it, just kind of floating around here.
Well,
what do we have?
This is a replica of a flintlock back in the day, and just one of my personal ones. I use it for hunting still, and it's just.
So how
it's a muzzle loader where it doesn't take a bullet, you build your bullet.
Okay.
So you would take your powder out of your horn.
Okay.
And then if you got
what kind of horn is that?
That's a buffalo horn or a cow horn. So what you do, and if you got your
Are we gonna get a farmer out there hollering because we said cows have horns? Isn't it?
Well,
don't the bulls have? How does that go?
We're politically correct out there, so cows do have horns sometimes.
Do they? Oh, I didn't.
But you make horn, you know, it's a powder horn. So you take your measure, because you don't want to just dump out of here, because you don't know how much you're doing, unless something crazy is going on.
Right.
But you dump your powder in your measure.
Yep. Okay.
In your shot glass, you dump this down the end.
Yep.
And then you put a patch on there, which is usually like pillow tick, like pillow ticking.
Okay. That's like, you call it wadding?
Wadding.
Yeah.
Okay. And you put a patch on there, you put your lead ball on there and stomp it down in there.
So the purpose of the patch or the wadding is to...
Because your ball, usually your round ball that would go in here, lead ball, is smaller diameter.
Oh,
so you have to have something to take up the
pressure.
room.
Yeah.
So you get the pressure.
That makes sense.
And then with this one, it's a flintlock. So you'd put a little powder down here in the pan, You shut that, and it's just like your flint and steel, where
Oh.
you do that, it ignites the powder and shoots everything out the
I've
end.
never, you know what, if I may? So that's something I always assumed, so there's like, I don't know, Chris, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's almost like what looks like a little groove or notch that goes from the, did you call it the pan? Is that, yeah. From the pan into the chamber,
Yep.
I guess we'll call it. And, you know, that never dawned on me. Like, I guess I always just assumed from like, you know, all the, you know, BB guns and, you know, Nerf guns, you drop the ball in here and and it's all in a straight line, right?
Yeah, this one's
But,
sideways.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know if you can see it maybe better this way. So like the chamber's here. It never dawned on me that spark actually really starts
Yes.
off here to the side and then it travels down in through and into the chamber.
Yep.
I guess I always just assumed like it dropped down in, but this makes more sense.
Yeah, this is the older version. It's called the side lock.
Yeah.
The new ones are inlines, where everything's inline.
Right.
So this can be a little more finicky,
Yeah,
as you
I
can
would think,
imagine.
yeah.
A little bit of water on there, and water and gunpowder just makes a paste, basically.
Yeah, because this would have also been similar to like what was used like during the Civil War. Right?
So this is earlier than the Civil War.
Right, no, that's what I mean. But,
But
like,
similar, yeah.
So like similar, you know, like as we're thinking like Gettysburg, the kind of weaponry
Yep.
they were using there, this is all that same.
It's all on the same concept,
Yep.
but then they had caps that they actually used.
Yep.
Instead of, some of them still use the flintlock, but
Right. But it's still that same.
I mean, if
loading.
you take care of
I
everything,
assume this is your.
that's the
your stick?
ramrod.
Yep.
Yeah, it's called a ramrod, which
But
that's
you don't
what,
just call them sticks.
well, if it's not on a gun, now it's a stick.
Now it's a stick.
Now it's a stick. But this is a ramrod that's what pushes everything down to the bottom.
Yep.
And
yeah.
always take your ramrod out before you shoot. That's a good point to remember.
You know, that would seem like common sense, but I do feel like it's something that would be good on a checklist.
It is. That's why we
like-
tell people, make sure you pull your ramrod out. Because if that goes off with a bullet behind it, it's kind of hard to find. It might be in thousands of pieces, or it might be in the next county. Who knows what happened?
Well, I would suppose it could also probably like jam the whole thing.
Yeah,
up and-
it could
yeah,
make a
you're
mess.
gonna-
Yeah, it wouldn't be good. But that's what
awesome.
that is. That's just a replica.
So how far can you like reliably hit something
Oh.
with this?
I mean, this is probably good out to 100 yards anyway.
Oh, okay. So you got a
Without-
football
yeah, I
field.
got. Oh yeah.
Okay, that's
I mean, it depends on how good your eyes are.
well, of course, but I mean, at least you know,
It's very effective.
that's yeah.
It's extremely effective.
So could this, and this is, I am not an outdoorsman at all, but could you use like BBs in it as well? Like
You
or-
could.
It seems like it could possibly work, but it might be a bad
A lot of
idea.
them at the time were a smooth bore. That means it's just smooth all the way down. This one's a rifled one.
Okay,
So
it's got this,
the twist in it.
Gotcha.
So it's made for the round balls or a
Right.
bullet. But if you had to,
Yeah.
you could stuff it full of shot and let her
And let her
fly.
run,
It
yeah.
it might go
Everywhere, right?
everywhere,
Right.
but it would still basically come out the
It
end.
would still work.
Yeah,
It would still.
and it just depends on what you're.
Right.
What you gotta
decided-
do with
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, it's back in the day, it was one shot, so
You
you better make it count.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Because how long does it take you to go from like shot to shot, like a full reload?
I mean, if you're good at it, 30 seconds.
Yeah. So.
I mean, if you got everything ready and lined up, and
Yeah.
you know, if you got to pull everything out of your pockets,
You
it's
better be in
obviously gonna.
sniper mode.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta be in sniper mode.
Yep.
So what else do you have? Is there anything else? I mean, just like.
Well, I got my
like-
leather
Oh, yeah.
leggings.
Yeah, you're missing
'Cause-
that in the.
I don't know if
You're not gonna be able to see them.
yeah, but I got leggings. I got a breechcloth like they used back in the day. These are made out of buffalo hide,
Oh, cool.
and I do all my own leather work. So I get the leather
I was just say, where does one get buffalo hide?
off of buffalo.
I told him, folks, before the show, because we've never met before, I told him, I'm like, you know, I kind of have a dry, sarcastic sense of humor. He's like, we're going to get along just fine. And usually when people say that before the show, they're like, they don't necessarily mean it. But I think you did.
Yeah,
I think you did.
you know,
Off of buffalo, he says.
yeah, buffalo is.
So where do you find a buffalo?
Well, there's a
from-
buffalo farm outside of town.
I mean, but can you like go up there and
but
like,
if you go to a rendezvous,
you can just get it there?
you can find leather and buffalo and deer.
So
and
will you guys actually be like selling your stuff?
we will
potentially?
actually have traders there. White Hawk Trading, with a very close friend of mine, Doug Akers.
Okay.
He has a big trade tent, Trapper Dave will be there. I give you,
Oh, but he's a trapper, right?
yeah, I give you Doug's real name, but you'd have to bleep it all out, so we won't do that.
Well,
You'll
hey,
have
we're
to
not on broadcast.
But you'll have to come out and see Doug F. and Akers. And we'll have Ma's Mercantile that they've all promised to be coming. A lot of times I don't know who's showing up to a rendezvous until they get there.
Right.
And that's just how things are, you know, today's day and age. But I know Doug's coming, Trapper Dave's coming, and Ma's Mercantile are coming. And they all have different wares, whether it's leather work, beadwork, furs,
Awesome.
handmade knives, a variety of a lot of stuff that you would see at a rendezvous.
So to kind of like recap for everybody who's just been enamored by this for the last however long we've been talking. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday,
Out at
Sunday
Discovery Park.
At Discovery Park from basically sun up to sundown.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Until they
is it
kick.
yeah.
I mean, I'm usually up at 5 and I got my coffee going, so if somebody wants a hot cup of coffee.
You make it in this?
I do.
That's awesome.
If you want a hot cup of coffee, bring your own cup.
Or buy one.
Or buy one from Doug or Trapper Dave.
But
I
not
mean,
plastic, right? Don't bring plastic?
Well, if we call the people that walk around flatlanders, for their, you know,
Yeah.
they're walking on flat land and
Yeah.
but they're enjoying everything we do. And
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll have a few competitions going that people can watch, you know, some demonstrations. We throw knives and hawks.
Wait, throw knives what?
This is a tomahawk.
Yeah. Oh, hawks. Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll throw hawks and knives.
Yeah, you know, this is ridiculously fun throwing these things. A buddy of mine owns Hatchet Jacks up in Iowa City, and you haven't lived until you've thrown one of these. It's fun. Like,
It is awesome.
It's
And that's part of the. It's
it-
not hard to do
it's
once
not.
you learn the
It's-
techniques of
once
things.
you keep everything square and just
Yep.
get it rotating.
And keep your foot up on one side and your
Yep.
tongue hanging out the other side, and
pretty much. Yeah, that's
then you're all good to go.
And it's, you know, my wife Melissa, who's, you know, I don't know, 5'4", you know, pretty small. Just she's even shrink, sticking them right in the way. It's fun. So if you can go see that, it would be, you'll enjoy it.
We do make it tougher sometimes, you know, because, you know, it can't be about being easy all the time. So sometimes we have little hawks that we throw also.
Can you get that to stick in anything?
Yes.
Like, really?
Yes.
I wouldn't, and, you know, this is obviously really light.
But it actually works.
Wow.
It's hard to chop wood with it, but
Yeah. I guess so this is like, you know, Ninja Star style. Like,
yeah, I mean, we're top of the line on everything.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so, but people have to come out to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
I
this
mean-
is, you know, again, I say this almost every show, you know, I always hear people say, oh, there's nothing going on in Muscatine. No, there is. There is. And what I like about the things that go on in Muscatine is, do we have, like, say this is your thing, do we have 100 of these a year? No, you shouldn't. Right?
No, we don't, and it's
But
because
there's-
we depict how they used to do it.
Yeah.
It was a once a year thing.
Yep.
Come here
But you do
at
it every
this
6
time.
months though, right?
Well, we did a spring one, and now we do we've always done the fall one
Right.
out of Wildcat Den. It's been going on close to 40 years.
Yeah. So, but, you know, this is something, is, you know, 1880s fur trapping 100% your thing? Maybe not, but for a day, it's
Come
an
out and see
awesome-
what we do.
It's an awesome experience, right?
Yeah, come out and support the community, support the people that come out and do this. I mean, for me, I've been doing it, like I say, around 25 years. And at the start of it, did it get a little pricey? Well, it can,
Right.
you know.
Well, like any hobby.
It's a hobby that's part of history, and you know, some of us live it all the time. I'm always thinking about what I need to make, what I can do. I do my own blacksmithing. I make knives, restore guns. I do all that stuff because that's what I love to do. And when I love to do it, then it's not a job.
Right. Absolutely.
Another thing too, and I would love to see this one grow since it's in town with other historical stuff too. Like if we could get like a little Civil War camp going, which, you know, the time periods and usually is completely different in their
Right.
styles, but it's all part of history and we love
Yeah,
the
it's-
history part.
You know, I think it's one of those things, though, you know, once you're starting to hit the rewind button for an event, you know, like for the average flatlander, right? If there was like a section that was you guys and a section that was maybe a little later in history, you know, like
Right.
a Civil War era, we're going to enjoy it,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
know what I
and
mean?
that's
Like,
what it's about. You know, people don't.
It's almost like walking through time. Like,
Yep.
okay, you start here and then you end up here, and that's, you know, the thing that I love about this, you know, I spent a lot of time with the Pearl Button Museum and the History and Industry Center, and it's those stories of walking through to give you the context of why things happened the way they did,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, the things that happened in the 1880s helped set the stage for the Civil War.
Yep.
And, you know, so it's, and the things in the 1850s set the stage, you know, like getting rid of all the beavers in Britain sets the stage for the Hudson Bay Company. And
Yep. It all, everything goes into.
Up here with the kid. Oh,
Because you look so
She-
dapper.
she seems to think that getting a picture of me in this hat's a good idea. I don't know that.
Well, you're kind of the ringmaster, and it's, you know, the.
I
Looks
feel.
like you should be in like the Music Man or something.
Oh, that is the last thing anybody would want is me and the Music Man.
I don't know. I know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
But
That's probably closer.
again, we're, you know, we're going to have kettle corn out there, by the way. Aunt Rita's world famous kettle corn
Nice.
will be there.
Nice.
Um,
And I assume that's like real kettle, like.
he pops it right there.
Awesome.
He'll pop it right out there. Caramel corn, kettle corn. It is
I'm in.
pretty awesome.
I'm in.
We also are partnering up a little bit with the Friends of the Old Barn
Right. Yeah.
because they're having an open house on a
Yes.
Saturday with a petting zoo. So
Yep.
we're
Yep,
trying to
that's-
work
yeah, they
together
were
to
here-
get everybody out to this
Yep.
park as that
Yep,
we
they
can.
were here a week or two ago. So yeah, it's just hit Discovery Park, and is it easier? Where are you guys in the park?
We're
Like,
going to
they
be
don't wanna
right up
park
by the. We're going to be up by the shelter,
Oh, okay, all right.
right up on top. You should see smoke and a teepee and
Gotcha. So if
maybe
you-
a couple of teepees. You never know. A friend of mine, he's got a new teepee, and hopefully he can make it. And he actually does some native dancing. So
Really?
hopefully we're going to have some dancing
Cool.
going on too.
You know,
I
was
mean, we
able-
can dance on our own, but it's always nice when they have a drum beating and.
You know, I got to spend some time out in South Dakota in high school, and we got to do the authentic teepee experience and all that stuff. And it's surreal when you see these things. First of all, they're not tents.
No.
They are way bigger than tents. Like, I think, you know, cartoon-wise, that's always what I'd sort of like, you know, I pictured it was something like, you know, this tall or something.
Some of them are gigantic.
Yeah, I mean, like the ones we were in were like,
Yeah, some of
I
them
mean,
wouldn't fit
like-
in this room.
yeah. And it's things you just don't think about. And
Yep.
that's what I love about like these kinds of things, and that you guys are holding on to this part of history is, you know, can you walk through a rendezvous and get everything that it was like to be around
Oh,
in
no,
the 1880s?
no,
Of course not.
no.
But can you
You get an idea.
you can get an idea, and
idea.
you can like
You can
get the
feel stuff. You
tactile-
can see
yeah, the-
stuff. You
the
can
tactile,
smell
like,
stuff.
Like like seriously, I challenge everybody. Do this for me. Go out, see Brother Todd, and see if you can squeeze this thing. Like just
I've actually got another trap that I
Like-
will bring out, and it's a bear trap.
yeah, like oh,
So
wow.
if you can set it, I'll give you $5.
There you go. Like there's a challenge, and this is like great
For
stuff
kids.
for kids. Yeah, like
If a kid can set it.
yeah, like I mean, this is it's just a great tactile thing. It's something that they'll be able to keep in their minds for a long time.
You know, and if somebody
And-
wants, all you got to do is come out and ask. You know, everybody's loves talking about their stuff. I mean, they really
Yeah,
do, because
no,
it's such a love
should.
of
I mean,
doing
it's
this.
awesome. Yeah.
It's such a love of doing it. So if people just ask questions, everybody's, you know, unless you're pretty grumpy or something like that. Other than that, it's a show and tell, basically. We're big
Oh.
kids. We're a bunch of big kids that's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, that's I would completely agree. Well, holy cow, Todd.
You know, if
thanks.
somebody wants to start a fire, come see me. We'll sit down and see how frustrated you can get for doing a flint and steel.
I think I could do it in a day or two. I could probably get there. But
But it's all different genres of stuff to do, and different, you know, everybody's got their own little niche on things. But please come out and see us. Come out and check out the vendors that we got there. It's going to be a big deal,
yeah, well,
hopefully.
yeah, I think.
And we're
it will.
looking to 30 camps maybe.
Yeah, I think
25,
it'll be cool.
30 camps, hopefully.
And we'll have to make sure before the big one this fall, you come back and
Yes.
get us some more info, bring some more cool stuff, and maybe see if we can get some of the others maybe to swing in with you or something.
I can try.
Yeah,
I can
that'd be
try.
awesome. So
I'm fortunate enough I'm retired, so I get to go do stuff that a lot of people can't do right now. So
yeah, maybe we'll even like dial in on a Friday and just like
we could
if
do
you
it.
if you could use like
if
a
you
phone
want to
for a
bring your
minute.
cameras out to my
Yeah.
house, we'll start a fire and have the coffee going and
I'm in.
sit in the backyard and
I'm in.
do it the right way.
Awesome. Well, sir, thank you very
Hey,
much. It's been an absolute
appreciate
pleasure.
it,
Absolute
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
So again, this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sun up, sundown, head out to Discovery Park, see the old barn, see the 1880s
Everything, yeah.
live in living color. Is that a thing? Sure, it seems like a thing. It is now.
Come
But
see us.
we